treatment done in the office can provide quick pain relief and allow you to get on with your day. Patients are amazed by the pain relief. They wonder why they waited so long to be feeling better at last.
With offices in McAllen and Weslaco, Dr. Dennis Slavin is only a phone call away, and many say it's the best call they've ever made. Call 956-973-0565. 973-0565.
Thank you, Rio Hondo, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio. From the KURV Broadcast Center, this is the 956 Drive Home.
All right, we're doing this. Put on your seatbelt, check your mirrors. Let's begin.
Buckle up and get ready to talk about today's headlines and topics important to you. Here's Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
That is right. Back at it again on a Monday. Yeah, I'm Zach Cantu. That's the living legend, Davis Rankin, your 956 Drive Home. I don't know if you looked outside recently. If not, you have no idea it's wet. And if you don't have the bird's eye view like our friends from AccuWeather, you don't know that it's going to be wet for quite some time today. Matt Benz from AccuWeather joining us on 710 KURV for a check at the next couple of hours, how that's going to run down. So what's happening, Matt?
Hey, yeah, checking out the rain moving across the valley right now. If there's any, I don't know if I'd say it, good news, but things are on the downward trend with regards to rain, especially McAllen on east towards Brownsville. That's where we're seeing at least a drier pocket moving into the region. Still raining, though, north and west of McAllen. Things probably calm down, though, over the next couple of hours, but we're not out of the woods yet when it comes to wet weather over the next day or so.
Where did all this energy come from?
This is all Barry. If you remember Tropical Storm Barry that came into northeast Mexico here yesterday. This is a moisture envelope from Barry coming up and over our area, and it's going to be with us here through tonight, tomorrow, maybe even into Wednesday. It looks like it'll shuffle off to the west and north of us as we head towards the end of the week.
As these showers and thunderstorms come by, how severe are they? It's nothing like gusts of wind and hail and things like that. There's nothing too severe about it, right?
Yeah, exactly right. This is more tropical in nature, so it's not expecting many, if anything, in the way of severe weather. But because of the moisture-laden air mass, there could be proficient downpours out there. So we'll have to keep an eye out for flooding, at least localized flooding here for the area through tomorrow. And then, like I said, things begin to calm down here towards the middle and end of the week.
You're absolutely right. Matt Benz at AccuWeather joining us on 710 KURV. So how many more hours did you say that we were going to be seeing this residual energy from Tropical Depression Barry?
Yeah, well, what's left of Barry is going to basically just stay to our south now through tonight and tomorrow, and that will bring rounds of moisture overhead. So it looks like for at least the next 24 hours, we'll see this on again, off again, rain passing overhead and some embedded thunderstorms. But as we head into Wednesday, especially after Wednesday morning, it looks like that moisture begins to shift off to the west.
All right. Looking out for the rest of the week, you said that we have some chances for more rain in the future?
Yeah, it looks like we'll see more showers and some thunderstorms as we head into tomorrow. Perhaps not as widespread or as a gray, rainy day that we saw today, but still looking at rain here at times tomorrow with some thunderstorms. Maybe a shower or thunderstorm to start off the day Wednesday. Then things looking quieter as we head towards the end of the week, maybe shifting more towards something coming off the Gulf breeze heading into the afternoon Thursday and Friday.
Well, in my book, Matt, it's always good news if there's no sun outside, at least here in South Texas. Yeah. Thanks a lot for giving us the breakdown of the current situation out there with AccuWeather. That's Matt Benz joining us on News Talk 710 KURV. On your 956 drive home this afternoon, we've got Dr. Tim Henson over at UT Austin, the Texas Politics Project, because we got to get a litmus test, or like we're checking the wind. We're putting our finger in my mouth and we're testing the wind right here. The political winds of change, as it were, for THC and whether people like the current people in office and how did the Texas legislature do, all that stuff. Plus, we'll get a check of oil prices, gas prices for 4th of July weekend with Tim Snyder at Matador Economics. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
This could be your time to shine and grow. At News Talk 710 KURV, we make it simple with tailored promotions, live mentions, and a strong presence across our social media platforms to ensure your business gets noticed and thrives. If you're ready to take your business to the next level, this is your chance. Call us today at 956-992-8895 and let's talk about your business on News Talk 710 KURV, helping put your business on the map.
Saving you money, I'm Hillary Barsky. Many people have lots of credit cards, while some just have a few. So what is a good amount to have? Well, having 2 credit cards from different lenders gives you flexibility. Americans on average have close to 4 credit cards as of the third quarter of 2023, according to Credit Bureau Experian. Credit bureaus suggest that 5 or more accounts, which can be a mix of cards and loans, is a reasonable number to build toward over time. Having too few credit cards can often come with potential risk or limitations, especially when it comes to your credit score. Some questions you can ask yourself when determining what's the right amount for you. Am I able to manage and pay all my bills on time each month? How do my credit card perks and rewards stack up to my spending habits? Are the annual fees worth the benefits? And are my cards diversified enough to cover different needs or emergencies? But remember, the most important thing to focus on is your spending habits and paying your cards on time. Saving you money, Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin. In the event a tropical system were to threaten the valley, trust 710 KURV to keep you informed during hurricane season. Tropical coverage 2025. Made possible by McAfee Insurance, Mike's Plumbing, Electrical, and AC, and Lee's Pharmacy. As we head to the Rio Grande Valley for a quick update of what was going on here, the 6 people have been arrested after a search of a home in Dana. Local and federal investigators executed a search warrant early Friday at the house on North Valley Road. Officers found narcotics, multiple firearms, and a stolen vehicle during the search. The 6 people arrested face several charges, including manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance, unlawful possession of a firearm, failure to identify, and unauthorized use of a vehicle. As you heard from AccuWeather earlier, the remnants of Tropical Depression Barry are what's currently affecting our dryness, our usual valley dryness. And we're going to be getting some more of that rain for the next couple of hours here, and maybe even through the week as well. So stay tuned to News Talk 710 KURV for checks of AccuWeather from our friends at AccuWeather, Valley's News and Weather Station, 710 KURV. Texas's new 10 Commandments law, as we move on to the audio soundboard, not going into effect until September, but there are already lawsuits to stop it. This is David Covey with the conservative group Texas Values. They say that they're eager to defend it. That's on me, Joe. The volume was way too low on my laptop here. I apologize. Let's try it again. Take 2. Action.
As laws go into effect, especially the laws on social policies, lawyers sort of get their plates full.
He expects more lawsuits to come from groups like the ACLU, which is sued to stop a similar law in Louisiana. He says that posting the 10 Commandments in public school classrooms help kids understand the foundations of our nation. The Bible verse, he says, has historical significance. Here's more from the conservative group Texas Values, who say that they saw these lawsuits coming a mile away.
This is nothing new. And of course, the constitutional analysis is completely on our side. We're absolutely prepared, and this is no surprise at all.
Your thoughts, Davey? You're smiling. Why?
It's not a surprise they were prepared. I've never heard the Bible used as a history document. It has historical stuff in it, obviously, but it's not an historical text. It's not even the historical stuff. There's a religious religious point to it, or a religious can't think of the word, But the question is, why do they go back again? Why do they think is going to happen? You put it up there. Aside from making a lot of people unhappy, what do you think is going to happen? Dallas-Fort Worth area is where we ought to look, because there's a bunch of Muslims and folks from India who are, I assume, Hindi and Muslim, maybe a Jain or a Sikh, and they want their kids. The 10 Commandments, nobody can argue with them, right? Thou shalt not murder. Thou shalt not steal. Don't covet your neighbor's wife, no matter how hot she is. You just can't do that. But it's just, it eventually gets knocked down, because it's going to focus the spotlight on all the little Christian kids, although most of them couldn't tell you what they believe or why they believe it, being little kids. That's what I think. It made sense and it was coherent, although it didn't sound that way when I said it. When I said that. What do you think?
E for effort.
I've never heard you opine on it. And I have a Catholic friend.
We've talked about this before. I mean, this is not the first time we've brought it up. It never does what you intend it to do. That was the conclusion we kind of came down to. It never does what you intend it to do. Because I think I had made the very insightful commentary. We're having problems with our kids reading. What makes you think they're going to read that?
You force them. You make them do it.
Like we're having a hard time getting our kids to read anything. What makes you think that they're going to stop by in the middle of the hallway to, oh yeah, that's the 10 Commandments. Wow. I feel enlightened and I feel full of wisdom. Some people really want their Norman Rockwell painting back, and I don't blame them. I don't blame him. I just don't feel like that's the way to do it.
I like Rockwell a lot. He was sneered at by the fancy people, but he was his paintings were subversive on one level, very subversive, and they have there was a long piece in the magazine I read years ago. They were classical composition. There was a lot going on in that, although it appeared to be corny stuff. And I guess on one level it was corny, but on another level it was not corny at all. And I've been in the place where he had his studio.
I got one here, Davey. This one's going to tickle you. I guarantee it. Listen to this. The Supreme Court rejected a lawsuit from Luis Aparicio, an illegal alien caught crossing into the United States through Texas, who brought up the idea. Operation Lone Star is sexist because it arrests more men than women, and it violates the Equal Protection Clause of the Constitution. The U.S. Supreme Court wasn't onto that idea, so they said, forget that.
I was going to say, somewhere someone thinks that's a pretty cool argument. Yeah, that's right.
Of all the things, that's the angle you're going to take on that one?
It's not right.
Well, it's you shouldn't have it because it's arresting more men than women.
Go get that girl over there.
I'm sorry. Out of all the women's equality arguments that are out there, I'm pretty sure that women don't want to get caught by Operation Lone Star more than men in this situation. You're listening to 710 KURV. This is your 956 Drive Home. Coming up next on the program, next year's election in Texas. It's a big one. Senator Big John Cornyn and Congressman Joaquin Castro, or his brother, because they look the same, and they've pulled that stunt before. But we'll talk about that coming up next.
You're just minutes away from the bottom of the hour news. Stay tuned for the latest headlines. News Talk 710 KURV.
Hey, Rio Grande Valley fam. This is Dana Lash inviting you to join me tomorrow morning at 11.
Generational wealth, this idea that we have these like old billionaires that pass everything down from generation to generation, literally doesn't exist. But this concept that most money is old money is not accurate, and it's illiberal.
Tune in for the Dana Lash Show tomorrow morning at 11 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Potami app.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A new trend called taking a break from the internet with the Offline Club makes today's Dean's List. Launched by three Dutchmen named Ilya, Jodri, and Valentin, who wanted to promote a movement that involves phone-free gatherings and digital detox spaces where in-person connection and contact replaces the virtual world. The club has spread to major cities across the globe, including London, Paris, Milan, Copenhagen, Berlin, and most recently, Buffalo, New York. Phones and laptops are checked at the door, and folks will spend a few hours reading, meditating, playing board games, or talking to one another without distractions of the digital world. The venues include churches to cafes to inspire engagement. And those who take part in the initiative say they feel a great sense of relief when they put away their devices. Some say there were a few moments when they went to check their phones, but they didn't have them. And many say it was freeing. Janice Dean, Fox News.
Audio streaming on KURV.com. Powered by South Texas Buick GMC, McAllen, Mission.
KONDA. Happy Monday. I'm Zach Cantu, along with Kate Chulo, Davis Rankin. Yeah. Your 956 drive home on 710 KURV.
Me gusta.
And according to radar, pretty much the entire valley has clouds over it. Some of those have rain in them. I know that's a really reductive way of describing the AccuWeather forecast.
It's a political comment.
And the radar, but that's literally, if you took a look at the radar right now, that's literally what it is. There's showers and thunderstorms around pretty much the entire valley and ranch country right now. Remnants of Tropical Depression Barry, Valley's News and Weather Station, 710 KURV. Your home for Houston Astros baseball. Yeah, taking a break today. But tomorrow they're against the Rockies. The Colorado Rockies. Astros on the road. And we got first pitch at 7:40. Your home for Astros baseball, 710 KURV. Made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. I hope I didn't jinx them, Davey, by saying that.
You're a long way
yeah,
away.
the wiseacre over here, calling them the Rookies. Yeah,
They
instead
didn't
of the
hear you.
Rockies.
It's too far away.
Nobody's ever thought of that one before.
I thought you said Wookiees.
Oh, the Wookiees? I don't know. I've never seen the team to assess how hairy they are, Davey. Speaking of hairy, next year's election in Texas. See what I did there? Yeah. It's going to decide one of the state's 2 Senate seats poised to become the most expensive in history. Senator Big John Cornyn facing a bipartisan challenge from both high-profile Republicans and Democrats, possibly one Congressman Joaquin Castro.
For years, people have said, why is he not running for something? Why is he not running for governor? Why is he not running for Senate? And now,
because who cares? That's why.
All of a sudden, he's finally possibly throwing his hat to the ring.
What do you have against him?
You hear that silence, David? That was all the people standing up to get in line to vote for Joaquin Castro. UTSA's Professor John Taylor says a number of fringe Republicans thinking of running to really everybody's fringe to some people. I swear. The problem with all of them, he says, is name recognition. Outside of Congressman Castro, all of them are virtual unknowns, and it takes a lot of money to introduce yourself. I'll give you a good example. Remember the AG race for Texas?
Mm-hmm.
It was George P., Eva Guzman, and the other guy. Who was it?
Louis Gohmert.
Is that who it was?
Louis Gohmert from Tyler. Yeah.
Oh, no, it was Paxton.
Well, Paxton was in it too.
During the primary. So think about it like this. George P. had go away heat. Like why is a Bush running in Texas? Get this guy out of here. We're tired of Bushes in Texas. So let's get rid of George Bush. So he was out, he had that baggage with him, I guess. Ken Paxton had an incredible amount of baggage. Whether you like him or not, you have to admit he had some sort of baggage with him that they did try to display in front of everybody. And then Eva Guzman, who was experienced, and she had no baggage on her, but she had zero name recognition. And she had a hard time getting all that getting any name recognition out there.
Well, the baggage may be a Spanish surname in Republican primary. That's less and less baggage, but it can also work for you.
Okay, that's not baggage in a traditional sense.
No.
That's not she did something bad and she's carrying that with her. Remember, George P. tried to destroy the Alamo.
No, he didn't.
I'm joking. He didn't try to destroy the Alamo, but he tried. He was
his
a part.
critics
His
said
name
that.
was attributed to a program or plan of a reimagining of the Alamo that Texans widely rejected. Okay,
Mhm.
that's the more accurate way of saying.
It's
He didn't try to destroy the Alamo anyway. But that's the point. You see, the name recognition part is very difficult, and that's what they're talking about here for the Senate race. Name recognition is very important. Here's more from UTSA's Professor John Taylor, who says it's not surprising that Castro's trying to throw his hat in.
I think he sees, like a lot of others, blood in the water. John Cornyn's in trouble, big time trouble.
Is he, though?
I don't think he's in big time trouble in the sense like they caught him with a young girl or something. He's in big time trouble in the sense that he's out of step with the apparent majority of the voting Republicans. I don't think he's out of step with the majority of Republicans, but it doesn't make any difference if the people who like him don't go vote. And the ones who go vote are Ken Paxton, the lieutenant governor, and they're real magnified. So Cornyn's not fought the president. I've never heard him say a bad thing about the president, but he's certainly not a cheerleader for the president.
Let me move on because we spent a lot of time on this already. The head of the immigrant smuggling ring that locked dozens of people into a big rig, killing 53 of them, has begun serving the first of 2 life sentences, Davey. Cops in Texas say this is going to send a strong message to the Mexican cartels.
The sentence will be justifiable to put a deterrent on this situation.
Clint McDonald heads the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition. He says the Trump administration has closed the border, but there's still cases of human smuggling in rural areas, and that's pretty tough. Do you think that this is going to be a deterrent, Davey? I feel like the Mexican cartels really don't care if one of their people gets pinched because I don't believe it was a cartel guy that got pinched. I believe it was a guy who was doing it for the money that got pinched.
That brings up the
You know what I
question:
mean?
what in the Italian mafia, you can be a made man. You're part of the family. They don't have the same system in Mexico, and I think they're all disposable, all of them.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is a good point. Here's more from Clint McDonald, head of the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition.
Our sheriffs along this border are just tired of picking up bodies.
And here is the state of Texas ordering all public colleges and universities to identify which of their students are illegal immigrants. It's part of a new push to deny in-state tuition rates for the Dreamers who were brought across the border as kids.
They were giving benefits to people who were in the country illegally over citizens and legal residents of the United States.
That's Ira Melman, who heads the Federation for American Immigration Reform, which supports the move. Earlier this month, the Trump Justice Department sued Texas over its policy of letting illegal immigrant students qualify for lower tuition rates. The state attorney general said he agreed in a statement that federal law bans schools from providing benefits to illegal aliens that they do not provide to U.S. citizens. You're shaking your head. Why?
I think that thing that you just cited that is a new creation, and I stumbled across a story in which Rick Perry, this was 30 years ago, he got through the legislature in-state tuition for illegal students, and he was real happy. He was proud of it. I never thought anything of it, but because we deny in-state tuition to people who are here unlawfully, we can't give them something we don't make available to others. We're not going to make it available to others. You're still going to have to pay out-of-state tuition if you don't live in Texas. So I guess I think we should let them have it.
Here's a fun one, Davey. President Trump is going to visit Alligator Alcatraz in Florida. That's the nickname of the detention facility for illegal immigrants that was built in the Everglades near Miami-Dade County.
There is only one road leading in, and the only way out is a one-way flight. It is isolated and surrounded by dangerous wildlife and unforgiving terrain.
That's White House
We live in
spokesperson
unforgiving terrain.
Caroline Take It or Levitt, who said Trump will be there for the grand opening tomorrow. Levitt says the facility will help Trump carry out the largest illegal immigration deportation operation in history. Try saying that 10 times fast. Here's Caroline Levitt, who said the facility known as Alligator Alcatraz will help this effort.
The facility will have up to 5,000 beds to house, process, and deport criminal illegal aliens.
Wasn't that the image in a lot of people's heads when we were in election season where they were going to bring? Oh no! I think wasn't it the weather that brought down some alligator sightings with it, right? The flooding and all that.
Yeah.
And they said, oh yeah, they're going to go into the Rio Grande and they're going to start hunting down all the illegal immigrants, and then that would be the deterrent. It's almost like they took that idea and ran with it.
But it didn't happen.
Let's put the facility in Florida. That's what they said.
I think sharks, freshwater sharks.
The White House wants President Trump's big, beautiful bill on his desk pretty soon. Today, Press Secretary Caroline Levitt expressed confidence it'll clear the Senate and head back to the House for its passage.
The White House and the president himself have been in touch with lawmakers all weekend long to get this bill passed, and they are working very hard to do so. It remains a top priority for the president.
Thoughts on that, Davey?
It's they'll come to regret it, but it'll be too late because there's too much stuff in it. There's too much.
I just wish that we went back to having a budget and we could talk about balancing the budget rather than doing omnibus bills all the time.
I totally agree.
I miss addressing deficit spending and national debt and all that stuff. And
where'd you get these ideas?
We always that we could actually be responsible with our country's money. Yeah. What a novel idea, right?
He is absolutely
Today's 710 KURV People Poll question: are you proud of America? Are you currently proud right now, David?
I saw a story about how we're not quite as proud as we used to be.
Is your pride in America growing? That's the actual question.
It's pretty high. I don't know that it's growing, but it can. I mean, does anybody 100% love America? Marco?
I love it, and I think about negative things, and then I don't love it.
Yeah,
because we have a lot of really crazy, outspoken people here in a bad way. In a bad way.
So lock them up.
We have some very crazy, outspoken people here, and then with the invention of social media, those people all have platforms now, and it's like adding gasoline onto the flame every second of every day, and it makes me want to slam my head through the window.
Well, don't do that.
So I'm proud. I don't know about it being growing, but there's just every single day I find something that I kind of get upset about. Anyway, we're way past our time here. You're listening to 710 KURV. And I got to mention the 710 KURV People Poll question made possible by Total Imaging Solutions. Their customers have 99.3% of problems fixed within 4 hours. And hey, if you want to tell us what's up, we're on WhatsApp. Leave your comments and questions at 956-862-2482. 956-862-2482. Don't call the number. Do not call the number. Text it. You can leave a voice message, which is the little microphone icon, or a text message, but do not call the number. Where was I going with this? Yes, you're listening on News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. And coming up next on the program, we'll take a look at the state of Texas, the THC bill, and what's happening in 2026 with Dr. Jim Henson at the Texas Politics Project up next on News Talk 710 KURV.
It's a local talk show about the latest headlines and topics you're thinking about while you're enjoying your mid-morning breakfast taco. The Sergio Show with Sergio Sanchez. Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk 710 KURV and on the Radio Para Me app.
Dr. T's Primary Care, drt'sprimarycare.com. If you are stressed out, if you're tired, if you've gained a few pounds, if you're lashing out at people. I was in church the other day, and for some reason, this was a couple of weeks ago, I had forgotten to go through my regular supplemental regimen, and I just felt this absurd ball of rage while I was listening to the sermon, and it was because I hadn't had my supplements that day. And you get those by talking to the experts at Dr. T's Primary Care. And they'll check you out. They'll evaluate you. They'll figure out this is what your body needs right now. This is what you need to start doing to take those positive steps and moving in that direction. And you'll be on your merry way. Guys, if you're worried about low testosterone, Dr. T's Primary Care has services just for you. They'll check you out. They'll even let you know if you need any sort of testosterone. They'll let you know about that. It might just be all in your head. Who knows? They offer services for men and women of primary care, low testosterone, menopause treatment, peptide treatments, and IV vitamin infusions. Give them a call, McAllen area at 956-803-0058, and in Harlingen, 956-368-5247. Dr. T's PrimaryCare.com. Dr. T's PrimaryCare.com.
Tune in to the 956 Drive Home every Thursday afternoon starting at 5:07 for Dr. Rachel Gelman's Vision, a closer look at the health of your eyesight with board-certified and fellowship-trained ophthalmic surgeon Dr. Rachel Gelman on News Talk 710 KURV.
Hi there, my name is Tony Bolstead. My wife and I, Carol, own Sand Monsters. We'd like you to come on out and have fun. We've got a half-mile-long track out here. It runs across about 3.5 acres. Have adult cars and kid cars, getting laps in, learning how to drive on the sand. And we also lease space to Redline Helicopters is one of our tenants here, and they've got a pad and they do helicopter tours. Lone Star National Bank and the team there really helped us get this thing put together, answered all our questions, huge help.
I am Stephanie Harrison. I am the second generation owner of Sisters Interiors on South Padre Island. We had always dreamed of owning our own land and owning our own building, using our design team to create what you see here today. That's how we got involved with Lone Star National Bank. We partnered with them and they helped us, create the dream.
Nothing says summer like a cold glass of lemonade, especially when it's made with love by the campers at Camp University. Our lemonade stand isn't just about quenching your thirst. It's about teaching real-life business skills and customer service skills to adults with disabilities. Join us for a refreshing treat on July 9th from 12:30 to 2 at 4200 North Main Street in McAllen. So grab your friends, bring the kids, stop by for a sip and a smile, and see how excited our campers will be to see you.
Imagine checking your inbox and seeing a message from Dame Helen Mirren, the award-winning, elegant British actress. Except she's not emailing you to say hi. She's hitting you up about crypto. I'm Kim Commando for Oracle. In business, you can have better, cheaper, and faster with Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Try OCI for free at oracle.com/Kim. Helen Mirren had to go public to warn fans that scammers are using her name to send out bogus crypto emails from an address like Dr. Gogo. Let's be real. It's time for you to log off forever. It's not just her. Scammers have faked emails and endorsements from Tom Hanks, Oprah, Elon Musk, and a lot more. They spoof celebrity names because they know you trust them. Here's the bottom line. No celeb is emailing you about Bitcoin or a limited time crypto investment, and definitely not from some sketchy Gmail account. Start your day with my free newsletter, so this way you'll always be tech ahead. Sign up right now at getkim.com. In business, they say you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick two. But what if you could have all three at the same time? That's exactly what some of the world's most innovative brands and AI tech companies have since they've upgraded to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. So how is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second, cheaper, OCI costs up to 50% less for computing, 70% less for storage, and 8% less for networking. Better, and test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/Kim. That's oracle.com/Kim.
Fox News, I'm Tom Graham. The Trump administration is urging congressional lawmakers to pass the president's so-called big, beautiful budget bill.
The projected growth that this bill will bring to our economy. It will be an economic boom.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, the Senate voting on proposed amendments to the legislation today ahead of the president's July 4th deadline for passage. Democrats united against the measure, citing Medicaid cuts and other concerns. A Colorado woman has died after an earlier Molotov cocktail attack targeting pro-Israeli demonstrators. Fox's Kristen Goodwin.
The Boulder County District Attorney's Office revealing 82-year-old Karen Diamond died as a result of the severe injuries she suffered during the June 1st attack. Diamond is the first death connected to the attack.
Mohammed Sullivan is facing dozens of charges, which now include first-degree murder. America is listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast will see increasing clouds this evening, the low 74 to 78. A humid day tomorrow with a couple of showers. Otherwise, a cloudy morning, becoming breezy with clouds and sun in the afternoon, the high 84 to 89. A morning thunderstorm at parts of the area Wednesday. Otherwise, it'll be cloudy and humid, becoming breezy in the afternoon Wednesday with a high of 89. Humid Thursday, clouds and sun, a breezy afternoon, a thunderstorm in spots, high 93. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
For the latest news
happening now,
and to find out what's happening in rich, clear audio, just say, Alexa, play 710 KURV.
4:43 in the afternoon. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. Zach Cantu, Davis Rankin, and taking a look at AccuWeather radar. We have some passing showers and thunderstorms for all counties in the Valley, plus Ranch Country. Valley's News and Weather Station 710 KURV. That's going to stick with us for the next couple of hours. And temperatures much lower than they have been. They're in the upper 70s right now. Very fascinating.
Outside?
You know what is
outside?
That's what the thingy says, Davey. Whoa. The thing that keeps track of the temperature outside. That's what it says. I trust it. Joining us on 710 KURV, somebody else that we also trust is Dr. Jim Henson at the Texas Politics Project at UT Austin. He's got some neat polling numbers out here. And first thing we want to talk about is what was incredibly controversial and widely talked about in the state of Texas was the proposed THC ban from the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. And we wanted to do a deep dive in the numbers here. So who likes what?
Well, one of the things that we see here, guys, is that overall that measure is not especially popular. 31% opposed the ban on hemp-derived products. 53% opposed it. Not a big surprise. Democrats largely in favor, not much surprise there, 68%, or largely opposed the ban. 68% opposed the ban. About 58% of independents also oppose it. But where it gets interesting and where you see this this public contention between the governor and the lieutenant governors among Republicans. So a plurality of Republicans, 46%, support the ban, but it's the share that oppose the ban, 39%, is pretty close. So it's what we would call a wedge issue among Republicans, and it certainly seems to be working that way at the moment.
It's giving them a wedgie. Is that what you're saying?
I regret pitching to you, David.
By the band of the Chonies, yeah.
Does this have staying power? Is this something which will, if the polling can show that in the next election in 2026, this will reverberate? Or was this going to go away?
Well, I think a lot depends on what happens in the special session that's now going to happen, in which they're going to take this up again, and whether the governor and lieutenant governor and the legislators can come up with, a middle ground. And frankly, there's a lot of middle ground to be had here, or whether they ratchet up the fight. I think if they find a middle ground, pass some kind of law that limits access, does look a little bit more like, alcohol or cigarettes with age limits and limits on who can sell and things like this, then it probably does not have a lot of legs as either a primary or a general election issue. But if everybody, throws in more chips and the pot gets bigger, then all of a sudden it makes more of an impression on the voters and it becomes more of an issue. But I think how they handle it during the July session that we're going to see is going to tell us a lot about that.
I don't know if the details on this particular thing that the governor had cited as to why he vetoed the THC ban, but he was citing a case out in Arkansas where they had a similar situation. It was challenged, and he said he was just trying to avoid like a legal technicality.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not deeply familiar with that case. I know kind of the outlines of it. I know that, to my knowledge, the governor provided a fairly clear representation of that. Now, the lieutenant governor has contested that account, but I think on this issue, the lieutenant governor and the governor are disagreeing on a lot of the facts. Look, I think the governor probably likely that this was going to be, or is likely correct, that this was going to be challenged in court. And in fact, some of the businesses that are involved at the retail and the production level here had already prepared suits and, fired those shots across the bow. So makes sense that the governor would flag that. I do think that the biggest issue here really is the fact that, this is not an issue in which Republicans agree. And I would argue that probably in this case, the lieutenant governor is a little bit over his skis in terms of where the general public is, but just enough Republicans are with him. And they're in the more conservative, older camp of Republicans that are the sweet spot for the lieutenant governor that he went with his instincts on this. The governor's political instincts, I think, were very different, and here we are.
Yeah, I think we got to move off of this topic, Davey. So, we're going to have to come back to this eventually. But let me ask you about 2026 and one Senator Big John Cornyn. And is he in a weak place right now, especially against the Attorney General Ken Paxton?
Well, look, this is this situation is not dissimilar to the THC thing. Look, I think that in a Republican primary, John Cornyn right now is, based on all the numbers that we have, that we've seen, and lots of other polling, John Cornyn is at a disadvantage. He has always been, kind of paradoxically, given how many times he's been reelected, he's nonetheless always been a little weak among the hardcore Republican primary voters. His, job approval numbers among Republicans are positive but mediocre. Among all Republicans, 44 approved, 27 disapproved. You look at Paxton, he's at 52 approved, 16 disapproved. Neither one of them are particularly popular among all voters. Democrats, of course, dislike both, but independents are very negative about both right now. But where Paxton really enjoys an advantage is if you look at the numbers among, say, people that identify as very or extremely conservative. Cornyn is at 48-32, so plus 16, but Paxton is at 74-6, plus 68, meaning. And these people that identify as extremely conservative are people that tend to show up for Republican primaries, and hence the problem that Cornyn has right now, and why you're already seeing the Cornyn campaign launch a pretty, well-funded and steady drumbeat of negative campaigning against Paxton.
Dr. Jim Henson from the Texas Politics Project, UT Austin, joining us
Thank
on
you.
710 KURV. I was going to ask him one more question.
Oh,
Today.
well, fine.
I saw that your polling covered the topic of immigration. What questions were you asking?
Well, we asked, a lot, as we often do. So I think the two things to concentrate on is, on one hand, we ask people a question we ask a lot, which is kind of our heat check question. And that is, should anybody in the country that is undocumented be deported illegally? It's kind of a yes/no question. 51% say yes, 43% say no. That 51% is about the lowest in favor of that we've seen in a couple years. Among Republicans, 86% say yes, only 16% of Democrats say yes. But the trick here, I think, is that when we asked about a bunch of the kind of tactics and the strategies that we're seeing the administration taking out in terms of deportation, the level of support for, say, deporting immigrants who are allowed in the country because of political persecution, in other words, asylum, 62% oppose deporting those folks. 61% oppose arresting people who are in the country illegally while they're at a hospital. So the issue here is that the general principle for a lot of Texans, particularly, but certainly not only Republicans, is that if people are in the country illegally, then they should be deported. But then when you start confronting people with what the circumstances look like, people say, well, yes, people should be deported, but not under that circumstance. And it turns out to be a lot of the circumstances that these kinds of tactics require. And so, you've got this kind of this gap between people's general beliefs, but what their tolerance and their interest is in the actual execution of the policy and what that looks like.
Very well stated. Thank you very much for your time today. Dr. Jim Henson at the Texas Politics Project at UT Austin, joining us on News Talk 710 KURV.
Your Houston Astros play here.
Left field. Good one. It's out of here.
Catch the action all season long on News Talk 710 KURV.
Deep to right field. And you can kiss it goodbye.
Don't miss the crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd. We'll bring you each weeknight and weekend game with pregame and postgame coverage and all the action in between. Powered by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women, Mission Economic Development Corporation, and News Talk 710 KURV.
There's nothing like when you get that part from eBay and it just fits. Yeah, the first time. So you can do less of this and get right back to more of this. At eBay, you'll find all the parts you need, guaranteed to fit, at prices you'll love. Sounds good, doesn't it? eBay, things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Coming up in just a few minutes, top of the hour news with Fox News Radio. Stay tuned for the latest headlines. News Talk 710 KURV.
Zach Cantu, Davey doing you. Your 956 drive home on News Talk 710 KURV. Speaking of THC, Iron Mike Tyson was on Fox and Friends this morning to talk about reforming the cannabis laws. Check this out.
In a letter to Donald Trump, the athletes say, quote, after making sweeping promises to voters in 2020, former President Joe Biden failed to deliver on his pledge to address marijuana-related injustices.
So boxing legend Mike Tyson is taking things into his own hands. Mike Tyson, welcome.
Hey, Brian, what's up, brother?
What's going on? I have to ask you, what is the problem right now? Because it seems it's on its road to being legally nationwide. What are the hurdles you're dealing with right now?
Scheduling from 1 to 3. You have to believe cannabis is in the same category as heroin. How do you categorize it with heroin? Anybody that ever smoked cannabis know there's no comparison. Mm-hmm. And that's just ridiculous.
And anybody who's tried heroin can tell
I was
you the
going to
same
say,
thing.
I've heard this.
Let me finish here with Iron Mike here.
We're working on making a Schedule 3 and open up safe banking because there's over 500,000 people that can't get loans because they're in the cannabis business alone, and that's just so ridiculous. It's such a great income of insurance for the country, and for the country, and I just can't see it. It's just ridiculous.
I know in your letter you highlighted 3 main points to the proposed reform. Can you go through those points for our audience?
Absolutely. As I was speaking and saying earlier, cannabis has been labeled a label 1 narcotic, and that's in the same category as crack and heroin. And we all know, whoever experienced with cannabis before, no, that's not true, and it's just ridiculous.
So, Mike, I guess
we're running out of time for more of this, but commentary on that so far, Davey?
He's right on. It's a seminal. I mean, perhaps we'll look back. This is a seminal moment. Everything is changing about the way marijuana is perceived.
Hey, I mean, he's citing the Biden administration that they were going to show some sympathy on cannabis users.
Why they didn't?
I can go all the way back to Obama, and I've harped on this before. Remember, they said, "Oh, he's a black president. Of course, he's going to make
all the brothers." Legal. Yeah.
And then he gets into office, and they did that change.org petition, and he addressed the nation. He was like, I don't think that's an idea that we need to entertain at this time. You see, people project things onto people that are running for office. That's also a thing that happens. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV, your 956 drive home.
Mother Nature. When Mama ain't happy, ain't no one happy. When severe weather occurs, News Talk 710 KURV springs into action to bring you the information you need to keep you and your family safe with resources from AccuWeather and the National Weather Service.
And this active storm track lends itself to more severe weather events.
In the National Weather Service office, just issuing another tornado warning.
When Mother Nature is at her worst, we're at our best. Your official news and weather station, News Talk 710 KURV and KURV.com. Say it, share it. We're all ears and thumbs. We are now on WhatsApp. Another way to stay connected to us at News Talk 710 KURV. Spotted traffic trouble? Snapped a photo worth sharing? Hit us up with a text message or drop a voice comment straight to the studio. It's easy, it's fast, and it's your way to stay connected. Save the number 862-2482. That's 862-2482. Your voice, your connection. Now on WhatsApp, News Talk 710 KURV.
Home. For some, it's where the heart is. A feeling of comfort and care that hits, well, close to home. For others, home is something bigger. A belonging that goes beyond a zip code and more about living by a code of service and commitment for everyone, everywhere. At Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, we've shared the same communities with our members for over 95 years. And while we'll always be your one local and trusted healthcare partner, we are forever committed to ensuring access to the highest quality, affordable care through every stage of life, empowering whole person health with compassion and innovation, one member at a time. Because wherever in the world your journey leads, we'll make sure you always feel right at home.
Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Texas, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
History is unfolding, and you're listening to it on News Talk 710 KURV, Edinburgh, McAllen, Harlingen, Brownsville.
Learning more about the attack. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. Officials in Idaho say they were familiar with Russ Rowley, the 20-year-old suspect in yesterday's deadly ambush on firefighters in Coeur d'Alene.
The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office and Coeur d'Alene Police Department, we've had 5 interactions with Rowley. And of those 5 interactions, we've had 3. Coeur d'Alene Police had 2. They're very, very minor in nature.
Kootenai County Sheriff Robert Norris, 2 firefighters were killed and 1 was wounded when authorities say Rowley deliberately set a fire to lure firefighters to the ambush. And Norris says Rowley was found dead with a gun next to him. The Senate voting on several amendments on President Trump's so-called Big Beautiful Bill, which could lead to a final vote late tonight. But but it's not clear the measure will pass.
The provision on food assistance in the bill that was put in specifically for Alaska stripped out. And we're hearing from people in the House of Representatives, conservatives, that the Senate did not make the bill any better. Conservatives, they want more deficit reduction. The Freedom Caucus put out a statement just within the past 2 hours saying that the Senate bill is not what was agreed to in the House. And I talked with Don Bacon, the Republican moderate from Nebraska. He formally announced his retirement earlier today, and he said he was concerned that the Medicare cuts were too deep. He also doesn't like some of the cuts to green energy.
Fox's Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. If the bill passes the Senate, it heads back to the House for a vote and then on to President Trump's desk. Kilmar Abrego Garcia will stay in a Tennessee jail for now over concerns from his lawyers that he could be deported if he's released to await trial on human smuggling charges. Wall Street stocks got a boost after a Canadian official say they're rescinding a planned tax on U.S. tech firms and will resume trade talks with the U.S. The Dow added 275, the NASDAQ gained 96, the S&P plus 31. America is listening to Fox News.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Nebraska Republican Congressman Don Bacon is the latest lawmaker to announce he's not seeking re-election, saying divisions within his own party contributed to his decision. The Department of Justice says it has conducted the largest coordinated healthcare fraud takedown in history.
The head of the Department of Justice's criminal division, Matthew Gagliardi, says many of the crimes were committed by sophisticated transnational organizations, including one group operating out of Russia.
That strategically bought dozens of medical supply companies in the United States and submitted more than $10 billion in fraudulent healthcare claims to Medicare.
Dr. Mehmet Oz is the director of the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid.
Okay, stand by, Matt.
Largest target of all, responsible for about $1.7 trillion of disbursements. So it's a big target on our.
Hey, Matt, are you there?
Other medically licensed professionals.
Okay, stand by.
Stealing more than $14 billion. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
Prices on Amazon have risen for products made in China.
A study of goods sold on Amazon that are made in China finds prices have been rising faster than overall inflation. Research firm DataWeave did the study for Reuters. It analyzed 1,400 different products clearly marked as made in China. It found prices up 2.6% from January to mid-June. It appears the spike occurred in June and suggests tariffs are having an impact on prices. The goods rising at the fastest rate included school and office supplies, home furnishings, cookware, and electronic items such as printers and shredders, though hundreds of prices remained unchanged. Ginny Cosola, Fox News.
At the box office this weekend, F1 in the top spot, earning more than $55 million. How to Train Your Dragon in second with $19.4 million. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast will see increasing clouds this evening, the low 74 to 78. A humid day tomorrow with a couple of showers. Otherwise, a cloudy morning, becoming breezy with clouds and sun in the afternoon, the high 84 to 89. A morning thunderstorm at parts of the area Wednesday. Otherwise, it'll be cloudy and humid, becoming breezy in the afternoon Wednesday with a high of 89. Humid Thursday, clouds and sun, a breezy afternoon, a thunderstorm in spots, high 93. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
For many years now, I've been very proud to represent a dear friend of mine,
Dale Johnson, top commercial roofer in the region. The Rio Grande Valley, so many different businesses trusting my friend Dale Johnson for all this commercial roofing work. I want you to know that Dale has trusted Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. So now you got the next level for all these roofing projects at all these different properties that you have. And it all starts with one phone call. DLJ Commercial Roofing is now part of Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing. For years, you have trusted Dale. And now by locking arms with Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing, you're looking at 125 plus years of experience and a huge menu of expanded service offerings, valued warranties, cutting-edge roof installations, and advanced waterproofing solutions. Call Chamberlain Roofing and Waterproofing for that initial conversation. 956-655-6178. 956-655-6178.
Thank you, Weslaco, and thank you, Rio Grande Valley, for listening today to News Talk 710 KURV, the Valley's official home for Fox News Radio. On the KURV Broadcast Center, this is the 956 Drive Home.
All right, we're doing this.
Put on your seatbelt. Check
Hey,
your
Matt, are you
mirrors.
there?
Let's begin.
Buckle up and get
Hey, Matt, are you there?
topics important to you. Here's Zach Cantu and Davis Rankin.
5:07 in the afternoon. How you doing? I'm Zach Cantu, along with the living legend Davis Rankin, your 956 Drive Home, and Matt Benz from AccuWeather.
That's right.
Yeah! We are connected after all. All right. We had some questions about some of this leftover energy from Tropical Depression Barry that seems to be blanketing the Rio Grande Valley right now.
Yeah, a lot of moisture moving northward across the southern parts of Texas here from Barry. Of course, Barry made landfall yesterday, last night, but the moisture, we call it a moisture envelope, coming up into Texas, and it's going to be with us here for the rest of tonight, tomorrow, maybe even into Wednesday morning, and then it looks like that will begin to shift to the north and west, and basically that means more enhanced pattern for showers and possible thunderstorms here over the next 24 to 36 hours.
How weak is the storm at this point? About an hour ago, I was seeing little bright red clusters from this, but now I see it's mostly green.
Yeah, a lot more just some steadier light precipitation coming down across areas. So at least the heavier intensity that we saw here earlier on this afternoon, that's kind of behind us. Just more hit and miss showers here across the area. Now, still can't rule out a thunderstorm in spots here as we head into tonight. And of course, tomorrow, kind of more of the same with some showers around, possibly some rumbles of thunder. But as far as the intense rainfall, that looks like that's shifted off to our north now.
All right. And when is this expected to completely pass us?
Looks like by Wednesday morning it's past us. It begins to shift, at least the overall pattern begins to shift more towards West Texas, towards Big Bend and El Paso over the next midweek to the end of the week. And we'll start to shift more towards, what comes off the sea breeze in the afternoon, off the Gulf with regards to any thunderstorms here by Thursday and Friday.
So 4th of July, the day of 4th of July, it's set to be partly cloudy, right? And the sun's going to come out and there's no rain.
Yeah, no rain here for the 4th of July, so that's good news for anyone that is celebrating that day there. And at least temperatures, too, over the next couple of days with the clouds behaving themselves. I know where we could be this time of the year, but it looks like generally 80s next couple of days and back up into the 90s here by the end of the week.
Thank you very much, Matt. Appreciate it. Matt Benz from AccuWeather joining us on News Talk 710 KURV. Speaking of 4th of July weekend, we're going to talk about gas prices this hour with Tim Snyder from Matador Economics. Good news, bad news. What are we looking at in the aftermath of the Iran-Israel conflict? Find out next. Well, not next, but coming up in the next half hour of your 956 Drive Home. You're listening to 710 KURV, back to the Valley and the Lone Star State after this.
And now, important moments in news history.
Mr. President, could you tell me what the African Union is doing, as well as Kenya is doing when it comes to the humanitarian crisis in the Congo? Thank you.
What was my question? This has been important moments in news history. Zach Cantu, 710 KURV.
News Talk 710 KURV, the Rio Grande Valley's news and talk station. With top and bottom of the hour news and weather updates every hour. KURV keeps you informed, keeps you updated throughout the day and night. Tune into our local talk shows featuring news-making guests discussing topics that matter to you and your family. for over 75 years, bringing you the news and history-making news events, broadcasting live and local in the Rio Grande Valley. News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and on the Radio Potami app.
Independence Day means a lot to the Valley, like family, fireworks, and freedom. Join the City of McAllen as we come together to launch the 97th Annual Independence Day celebration presented by HEB. The full day of excitement kicks off at 7 a.m. with the Independence 4K run at Archer Park, benefiting veteran health and wellness through Team RWB. The nonstop family fun continues with giant 4th of July floats seen in the Main Street Parade. Games, rides, and treats at the Freedom Festival at Archer Park, followed by a chance to cool off at the Aquatica Extravaganza, taking place at Municipal Pool. McAllen's Independence Day celebration presented by HEB concludes at Municipal Park with food trucks, 6 p.m. live entertainment by Desert Bloom and the Texas Storm Band, and closes with an unforgettable concert in the sky at 9 p.m. July 4th in McAllen. Follow us on social media at McAllen Parks and visit McAllenParks.net to plan your full day of fun.
Broadcasting from the Valley's commercial and fleet headquarters studio at PayneAutoGroup.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
Big Monday, K-Hondas, KURV faithful. You're listening to 710 KURV, your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the Living Legend. Davis Rankin. In the event a tropical system were to threaten the valley, trust 710 KURV to keep you informed during hurricane season. That's tropical coverage 2025. Made possible by McAfee Insurance, Lee's Pharmacy, Mike's Plumbing, Electrical, and AC, and your friends here at 710 KURV. Also, we are your home for Houston Astros baseball. Astros on the road against the Rockies. The Rockies. The Rockies from Colorado. They're on the road. The Astros are on the road. First pitch, 7:40 tomorrow. They're taking a break today. Astros baseball on 710 KURV is made possible by Dr. T's Primary Care for Men and Women and Mission Economic Development Corporation. 6 people have been arrested after a search of a home in Dana. Local and federal investigators executed a search warrant early Friday morning at the house on North Valley Road. Officers found narcotics, multiple firearms, and a stolen vehicle during the search. Those 6 people arrested face several charges, including manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance, unlawful possession of a firearm, and failure to identify an unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Texas's the page skip. 10 Commandments law not going into effect until September, but there are already lawsuits to stop it. David Covey with the conservative group Texas Values says that they're eager to defend it.
As laws go into effect, especially the laws on social policies, lawyers sort of get their plates full.
He expects more lawsuits to come from groups like the ACLU, which is sued to stop a similar law in Louisiana. He says that posting the 10 Commandments in public school classroom helps kids understand the foundations of our nation. The Bible verse, he says, has historical significance. But they saw these lawsuits coming a mile away.
This is nothing new. And of course, the constitutional analysis is completely on our side. We're absolutely prepared, and this is no surprise at all.
Next year's election in Texas will decide one of the state's 2 Senate seats, poised to become the most expensive in history. Senator Big John Cornyn facing a bipartisan challenge from both high-profile Republicans and Democrats, possibly one Congressman Joaquin Castro.
For years, people have said, why is he not running for something? Why is he not running for governor? Why is he not running for Senate? And now all of a sudden, he's finally possibly throwing his hat to the ring.
You think that's more trouble for him than it's worth, Davey?
Yes.
You think he could turn into a Beto O'Rourke? He has a good thing going as a congressman, right? And he's doing the natural thing. Everybody vies for a higher office. That's what he wants to do. That's fine. But I think this is the wrong state to do it in. If he wants to ascend the ranks, as it were.
I wish I'd thought of this before, but when you're selling a product, and we don't necessarily reduce political contest to selling a product, but there are similarities. What's your that's why I can't think of the phrase. What is it about your product that sets it apart from others? Is it faster? Does it make your clothes brighter? Does it last longer? What's his unique thing? And I hear from Democrats a lot, and Republicans too.
His last name's
they all say
Castro
the
and he's
same
a
thing.
twin?
They all say the same thing. Yeah,
That's what makes him unique, right?
well, in San Antonio. He's a thing. His mother was a longtime political activist. The boys went to Harvard. They're twins. But if your point of view is the same as every other Democrat's point of view, if you like that point of view, then vote for the guy. But there needs to be something different to set them apart.
At risk of going incredibly off topic, have you been keeping track of this New York City mayor's race?
Yeah, a little
That's
bit.
been getting a lot of heat, hasn't it?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's the first taste of the bitter cup to come for the Republicans.
You're being sarcastic.
No, I stole that from Churchill. If in fact that's the future, then yeah, we're going to have.
Here is the big weekend show from Fox News breaking down Zoran Mamdani and his presence in the Democrat Party and how he's able to capture the youth vote.
And to raise taxes on white neighborhoods. The Socialist Star doubled down on that proposal today.
The quote is, shift the tax burden from overtaxed homeowners in the outer boroughs to more expensive homes in richer white neighborhoods.
Tax the white guy. Tax the white guy. I thought.
Yeah, you want to lose those guys? You want to lose that tax base? Yeah, keep saying things like that, buddy.
Here we go.
Explain why you are bringing race into your tax proposal.
That is just a description of what we see right now. It's not driven by race. It's more of an assessment of what neighborhoods are being undertaxed versus overtaxed.
Then why bring it up? Why even mention it? Just say richer neighborhoods. Why'd you have to say the W word?
We've seen time and again that this is a property tax system that is inequitable.
So no plans to change that language on your website.
The focus here is to actually ensure a fair property tax system, and that the use of that language is just an assessment of the neighborhood.
All right.
I think he should say tax whitey. That's the plan.
He doesn't back down on it at all.
Well, that's even worse.
At all.
If I mean, don't you think
Oh,
it's
man.
when if he said, "Oh, I didn't mean for it to come out like we're going to get the white people," but he's not a stupid fella, so he knows that it's like wink, wink, nudge, nudge. The white neighborhoods. Wink,
Well, I don't know what he knows, Davey. I just know that he's the guy that they're pushing. He's incredibly charismatic.
He got the youth vote.
You know what I mean?
Plus. Apparently, they just turned out by the bush. And New York, he has a. Having lived there before when it was expensive, it's way expensive now. It's just
Also,
it's
you want to
beyond.
know something? During the primary, he had zero competition.
No,
All those. Listen, I'll give you an example.
Oh,
They had
yeah,
during the
Cuomo.
debate. Hold on. During the debate, they were talking about, well, the first foreign visit of the New York City mayor, very, very important. And they were saying, what is the most important place to visit first for the New York City mayor? What foreign, land?
Oh.
That's the question. Like, who cares if there's stuff happening in New York City? Why the hell is the mayor going to go to some other foreign country? Everybody was saying like, "Oh, I'm going to go to Israel. I'm going to go
New York is
I'm
New
going to go
York.
to Ukraine for the 5th time." And well, there's stuff going on in New York City. Why the hell am I going to be traveling out of state?
Because I can, and somebody else can pay.
But
it's the idea of New-
but that's what he had said. He said to obviously I'm paraphrasing with Zaz, but that's effectively what he was saying. If I'm the mayor of New York City, why am I going to leave? There's stuff going on here. I got problems I got to solve here. Why am I going to go on a foreign trip? What does that have to do with anything New York?
What's her name over in Los Angeles got in trouble? Karen Bass for doing that. No, where he be elected. He's set himself a mighty task which he cannot achieve. But the city is, and I've heard this from others. The city is, in some ways, it's unlivable. I don't know how much you have to make just to get by. I know what I made when I was there and had a credit card. I live in Manhattan. I don't know how they make it. I don't know how they do it. It's that expensive.
I don't understand it either, for sure. But
it's what he wants to
hold on,
do.
But
is,
I'm not defending him when
No.
I say this either. When I was talking about, he had one common sense thing, right? Like why are we going to Israel when we have problems here in New York City? That was a very common sense thing to say. You have to give him credit for that. But some of this other stuff that he's talking about is wildly crazy for New York City because it's going to how do you say it? It's going to milk the city dry. There's going to be nothing there for them to tax. You're listening to 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. That's also important because I'm sure the mainstream Democrats nationwide are going to be watching that race to figure out what messaging works and what doesn't work. You're listening to 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. Coming up next on the program is Tim Snyder from Matador Economics. It's 4th of July weekend, and how are gas prices looking? That's up next on 710 KURV.
Later on, after the 956 drive home, stay tuned for the Michael Berry Show at 6, followed by the Charlie Kirk Show at 8 on News Talk 710 KURV, KURV.com, and the Radio Potami app.
I can't think of a greater compliment for a business owner than to have a new customer stop you on the street, or in my case at church, and share with you what a pleasure it was to finally experience superb quality and extra exceptional service. Hi, this is Marty Moore from D&M Cleaners. This nice lady obviously didn't even mind the drive from Weslaco to McAllen. You know, we really aren't a cleaners for everyone, just those who care about the way they look. Maybe now it's time for you to step up to D&M Cleaners, Barr, McAllen, and Edinburgh.
Pain management specialist Dr. Dennis Slavin on shoulder pain.
Our website is feelingbetteratLast.com because that's what people say as they leave my office. They really are feeling better at last. Hi, I'm Dr. Dennis Slavin with some solid advice on achy shoulders. Shoulder pain is very common, very severe, and often interferes with activities we enjoy, such as golf, tennis, fishing, doing chores, or even daily tasks like combing our hair. The good news is that most of the time, office-based, image-guided treatments provide superb pain relief, and followed by a specific home exercise program can prevent the pain from returning, so you can be feeling better at last. Patients are amazed by the pain relief. They wonder why they waited so long to be feeling better at last. That's really the key phrase, what I specialize in. I'm good at getting you feeling better at last.
With offices in McAllen and Weslaco, Dr. Dennis Slavin is only a phone call away, and many say it's the best call they've ever made. Call 956-973-0565. 973-0565.
Audio streaming on KURV.com. Powered by South Texas Buick GMC, McAllen Mission.
You're listening to 710 KURV, your 956 drive home. I'm Zach Cantu along with the living legend, Davis Rankin. And right now, according to AccuWeather on the radar, we still have plenty of passing showers and thunderstorms from the remnants of Tropical Depression Barry. And that's blanketing most of the valley right now. A vast majority of the valley. And it's just passing through. It's going to be passing through for the rest of the day. And we'll get some scattered showers throughout the rest of the week. But Friday is supposed to be, which is what I was trying to say, clear. Not clear, but less cloudy than today. The sun's supposed to be out. It's going to be shiny. And that's what they're projecting for Friday. Valley's News and Weather Station, News Talk 710 KURV. Tim Snyder from Matador Economics joining us. And we're talking about gas prices for 4th of July weekend. But we've also had a lot of, how do I say this, turbulence. And we're finally getting some resolution after that. So let's bring us to now. What has happened up until now as far as the markets have gone? It's been very interesting.
Yeah, it really has. The funny part about it is if you paid attention to any of the news over the weekend, it would have scared the life out of you. There's two really good indicators that I look at over the weekends, and you're going to laugh at me when I tell you this. The first one, you're not going to laugh at you if it makes sense, and that is the price of crude oil, okay? Because gasoline and diesel follow crude oil. And so it was mostly steady and wasn't getting, really too terribly nervous about all the brouhaha that you got from the legacy news media. The second thing I look at, believe it or not, guys, is I look at the price of bulk ammunition online as an indicator as to if there's trouble out there, then the price of ammunition goes up. It's always a good economic balancing, and I look at that, and those were both steady, if not lower, over the weekend. So I wasn't real worried too much when we got into today's trade.
You gave me a heart attack. I was like, oh no. Like, don't tell me people are stockpiling. No, I'm glad you said that.
Yep. Yeah, not a bit of trouble. And so that tells you that we don't have the nation itself, the country itself, looks at the markets and they look at the conditions in the economy as if, hey, everything is kind of like where we need it. And so I will tell you, I don't expect to see much of a spike at all. I think prices are right at their highs for what we're going to see for right now. We'll probably start seeing a dip beginning of next week and middle of next week. We'll keep watching the tropics to see what happens, but I don't really see anything that's going to cause any disruption and cause those prices to go up.
Davey, go ahead with your question for Tim Snyder.
Doesn't Texas do better when crude oil prices are high?
Everybody does. Davis, that's the thing that I'm a little bit frustrated with some of our Fox News affiliates, because they don't like to talk about that. Sure, they like to see higher prices because that means refining margins are better, and the people that are spending the money to invest in the drilling operations are getting a better bang for their buck. But also, if we can bring regulations down and make it easier for those guys to drill, make it less expensive, have the Federal Reserve lower the discount rate or the Fed funds rate, all these things together come together and help us lower the net break-even costs that we have, and it works in our favor, and it brings those prices down. So I don't have to have a $70 crude oil. I can live it easily. I can live at probably 65.
Joining us on 710 KURV is Tim Snyder at Matador Economics. Check out the newsletter at matadoreconomics.com. So 4th of July weekend is expected to be a real good weekend.
Yep.
Are we going to see, what do you think we're going to see beyond 4th of July weekend?
We're going to start watching those prices. If we talk seasonally, okay, right after the 4th of July, we start to see prices pull back just a little bit. They have one last run from the peak of the drive season, and that's over beginning of Labor Day weekend, and then they go down in earnest after that. So there's nothing that should push us higher unless, and we have to watch this, we finally have the Atlantic Ocean basin for tropical storms and hurricanes starting to come alive. So we got to keep an eye on that. I believe the Iranian situation in Israel is probably going to keep itself pretty much status quo for right now. So I don't see anything massive that could give us an economic dislocation and force prices significantly higher. I think we're seeing the highest prices of the year right now.
Are you following this budget bickering, the big beautiful bill bickering up in Washington, D.C.? Yeah. Is that affecting any of the markets?
The fact is everybody knows we got to have it done. Well, maybe not. If we don't do it by this Friday, it's not going to kill us. I just want to make sure we have it done and in the conference committee again and negotiated a bill that President Trump can sign by the end of July, and then I'm a happy camper. I think one of the things we're looking at right now is the federal government. Let's do this. The elected government has done everything that it can to try to help put prices back in check and lower the cost of production for a lot of our economy. The Federal Reserve hasn't been playing too terribly very well with that. And so if the Fed does that, it gives us every bit more of a reason to think that we're going to be in good shape. That bill's going to pass, and we get things moving forward. And then tariffs. We've got to finish the tariff discussions, and we're already making progress there as well, guys.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Canada they blinked at the whole Trump withdrawing talks for trade. That was fascinating.
They blinked. When did that happen? I thought
they had that digital tax, and then they stopped the digital tax. I saw that on Fox today.
On Friday. Yeah, they backed off. They backed off of it and said, "Okay, we're not going to do it." And it was all it was a penalty tax. And after what the United States has been through in the last couple of weeks, Donald Trump wasn't in the mood to mess with them. And the Prime Minister of Canada, understood that. That was something they tried. It was a trial balloon, and so they backed off of it. So I will tell you this. I think that the Prime Minister of Canada is a good negotiator, and he tried something. It didn't work. He backed off. That's, hey, no harm, no foul.
I mean, it's like, I don't mean to do this lightly, but it's like Israel and Iran. I mean, like, they're firing rockets at each other. We're trying to have a peace talk right here, and they're still attacking each other. It's like the same thing. If we're trying to come up with a deal, why are you firing shots across the bow while we're still in negotiations?
Because
it's not necessary. And the rub, Davis, just so you know, the rub is if Canada had not backed off that 3%. The basic tax, what they're doing is just a value added tax, then they would have owed $2.3 billion tonight at midnight. So they didn't have to pay that either.
Wow. It's
Tim Snyder from Matador Economics joining us on 710 KURV.
You have any information or timely insights into what's going on in Mexico? I don't know why I just sort of came alive, because I've seen nothing about petroleum or exploration or Pemex in a long time. It's always about something else, and you may not be up on it either.
I've been watching that like a hawk, to be honest with you, Davis, just because we're all South Texas boys and we watch what's going on in this thing. Claudia Sheinbaum's been way too quiet. So, that means there's something going on here. She's got some pressures, she's got some cartel pressures, and those are issues you got to be careful with. That's number one. But, number two, she wants to play. I know we have that terrible USMCA agreement that isn't really didn't have much teeth because nobody really followed the rules with it. So I think what it's looking like is Claudia Sheinbaum's looking at this and thinking, if we can get rid of as a whole the USMCA agreement that we had, then what we want to do, she needs to have a unilateral trade agreement with between Mexico and the United States that includes an energy program, an energy pact, where we can co-develop certain things, and Mexico steps up and provides whatever military support they have to keep the pipeline safe, and the piracy the piracy that's going on the Pemex pipelines.
If there was, are you planning a fancy vacation on 4th of July?
No.
Where are you headed?
Fort Worth.
Yeah, I'm going to Dallas. I'm going from McKinney to Dallas, 21 miles. That's as far as it goes, because there's a big smoker there. We got some steaks and some sausage and that kind of stuff. We're going to cook some things and just be happy being at home and not being on the roads.
I hear you, Tim. Hey, thanks a lot for hanging out with us, and God bless you, brother. Appreciate your time as always. Tim Snyder from Matador Economics. Check out the newsletter at matadoreconomics.com. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV.
This is your Financial Planning Minute. I'm Dave Barnes, Certified Financial Planner with Ameriprise Financial in McAllen. As soon as your children begin to handle money, start teaching them how to handle it wisely. An allowance is a good way to begin. Set parameters, discuss how they can use the money and how much should be saved. Open a savings account to introduce them to the concepts of interest and compounding. For things they want but can't afford right away, teach them to write down each goal and the amount that must be saved weekly to achieve the goal over a period of time. Teach them the principles of investing, such as risk tolerance, time horizons, market volatility, and asset diversification. Consider the use of a prepaid spending card when that time comes. This allows a young person to gradually get the hang of using credit responsibly. Help older children to prepare a budget and develop a system for keeping track of spending. If you have questions, give me a call at 772-4200 or toll free 877-377-7555. I'm Dave Barnes of Ameriprise Financial.
Independence Day means a lot to the Valley, like family, fireworks, and freedom. Join the city of McAllen as we come together to launch the 97th Annual Independence Day celebration presented by HEB. The full day of excitement kicks off at 7 a.m. with the Independence 4K run at Archer Park, benefiting veteran health and wellness through Team RWB. The nonstop family fun continues with giant 4th of July floats seen in the Main Street Parade. Games, rides, and treats at the Freedom Festival at Archer Park, followed by a chance to cool off at the Aquatica Extravaganza, taking place at Municipal Pool. McAllen's Independence Day celebration presented by HEB concludes at Municipal Park with food trucks, 6 p.m. live entertainment by Desert Bloom and the Texas Storm Band, and closes with an unforgettable concert in the sky at 9 p.m. July 4th in McAllen. Follow us on social media at McAllen Parks and visit McAllenParks.net to plan your full day of fun.
An illegal alien from Guatemala charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. An MS-13 gang member from El Salvador accused of murdering a Texas man. A Venezuelan charged with filming and selling child pornography in Michigan. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Under President Trump, attempted illegal border crossings are at the lowest levels ever recorded, and over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. If you are here illegally, you're next. You will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. You will never return. But if you register using our CBP Home app and leave now, you could be allowed to return legally. Do what's right. Leave now. Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected.
Sponsored by the United States Department of Homeland Security.
This is House Call for Health. Artificial intelligence may make your life easier, but is it harming your health? Recent research from MIT says the use of ChatGPT may lead to cognitive decline. The study claims it can harm your critical thinking over time. They asked 3 groups to write several SAT essays. One group used OpenAI, the second used a Google search engine, and the last group was the brain-only group. Researchers say those who used ChatGPT over a few months had the lowest brain engagement and, quote, consistently underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. The study and its information should be considered preliminary and treated with caution, as it's not yet been peer-reviewed, and those who participated were all from the same geographical area. With the researchers noting for future work, they'll need to look at more people from diverse backgrounds like professionals in different areas and age groups. For more health news, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health, I'm Anna Eliopoulos, Fox News.
This is a Fox News alert. I'm John Saucier. Sources close to Fox News Digital are reporting that the Idaho student murder suspect Bryan Kohberger has accepted a plea deal in exchange to take the death penalty off of the table. The 30-year-old Kohberger is accused of the murder of those 4 University of Idaho students on November 13th of 2022. All 4 were stabbed to death multiple times with a large knife. Now, police were able to recover a knife sheath that they allege had Kohberger's DNA on it near one of the victims' bodies. Sources close to Fox News saying victims' families were sent a letter with details of this plea deal. And that letter explained Kohberger agreed to plead guilty to all counts in these 4 murders, which the source says would take the death penalties off of the table. So once again, Bryan Kohberger takes a plea deal to avoid being executed. America's listening to Fox News.
Your 710 KURV AccuWeather forecast will see increasing clouds this evening, the low 74 to 78. A humid day tomorrow with a couple of showers. Otherwise, a cloudy morning, becoming breezy with clouds and sun in the afternoon, the high 84 to 89. A morning thunderstorm in parts of the area Wednesday. Otherwise, it'll be cloudy and humid, becoming breezy in the afternoon Wednesday with a high of 89. Humid Thursday, clouds and sun, a breezy afternoon, a thunderstorm in spots, high 93. I'm AccuWeather's Drew Shannon on the Valley's official weather station, 710 KURV.
News Talk 710 KURV. News and weather information at your fingertips.
There was only one place to get the information I needed.
Log on to KURV.com.
Problem solvers, idle hands, wanderers of the highway, engineers of the future. You're listening to News Talk 710 KURV. Your 956 drive home with Zach Cantu and the living legend Davis Rankin. Right now, taking a look at radar, we have some showers blanketing lots of the Rio Grande Valley, even part of Starr County. and lots of ranch country. Valley's News and Weather Station, News Talk 710 KURV. More rain in the forecast for the next few days as well. But it's supposed to clear up by Friday, just in time for your 4th of July weekend. In the event of tropical system were to threaten the valley, trust 710 KURV to keep you informed during hurricane season. And that's made possible by McAfee Insurance, Mike's Plumbing, Electrical, and AC, and Lee's Pharmacy. Back to the audio soundboard. We head into the state of Texas. The head of an immigrant smuggling ring that locked dozens of people in a big rig, killing 53, has begun serving the first of 2 life sentences. Cops in Texas say this is going to send a strong message to the Mexican cartels.
The sentence will be justifiable to put a deterrent on the situation.
That is the voice of Clint McDonald, who heads the Southwest Border Sheriff's Coalition. He says the Trump administration closed the border, but there are still cases of human smuggling in rural areas, and that can be deadly. Here's more from the Southwestern Border Sheriff's Coalition.
Our sheriffs along this border are just tired of picking up bodies.
Cartels are still risking people's lives by sneaking them across the border. And that this sentence, they say, is going to spread like wildfire through the federal prison system.
They're going to tell their families back home what these folks got, and it's not a good thing for them.
Well, I think a couple of things we need to point out. It can't be just this one guy. There's got to be consistency.
Yeah.
Right? Like they can't just give this guy 2 life sentences and the next guy, well, he's out in 3 months. They can't do that. If they're really serious about it, you know what I mean?
These guys were responsible for the deaths of almost 60 people.
Yep.
So, yeah, you're right. They have to be sent. They have to.
But also, too, I don't know if this is going to send a message to the cartels.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
Because I don't think the cartels care.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't think that the cartels
care.
Well, we stated that, but I don't think that the cartels are directly affected by this. Remember, they recruit people to do this stuff. This isn't like a vetted member of the cartel going across the border with this stuff. This is somebody that they've paid to get them across.
What do we call it in America when
it's like they're outsourcing? You know what I mean? It's kind of like that.
You don't have an employer; you just get money from people. To
contracted, yeah.
This is contract labor. I'm based on what somebody was telling us. I forget who. It was the guy in West Texas, who goes around with Poncho.
Bob Price?
Bob Price. No, not Bob Price.
No, Brandon Darby.
Yeah. I think of it like the Italian mafia, where you have a bunch of people. You have a boss. These are made men, and only Italians can be made men. And you have a lot of people working for them, aspirants. And that's what but that's not the cartel. They don't have made men. They have a lot of aspirants. They have a lot of people who want to make a living off of it. But there's no, from what we're told over time, there's no loyalty. There's no my guy got popped. My guy's in prison.
Yeah, there's no there's not a whole lot of loyalty, as you found out, because a lot of times the cartels will get fractured or they're vying for power over one another anyway. The White House is going to look into a report that says the head of the Federal Reserve lied to Congress. Press Secretary Caroline, take it or leave it, was asked about a New York Post report that says Fed Chair Jerome Powell, a.k.a. Evil Ron Paul, told Congress $2.5 billion of the central bank's Washington headquarters does not include any lavish upgrades.
I'll have to take a look at those allegations, and I will raise them to the president's attention and let him speak on them himself.
Yes, $1 trillion bills were converted into toilet paper over at the Fed.
They printed $1 trillion as a joke.
I'm joking.
That would be great.
No, it was a gold-plated toilet, David. That's also not true. So the Post reports plans to include specific items Powell denied while being questioned, such as special elevators. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means a special needs elevator or a special this is only for me type elevator.
That's what I think. That's what they're saying. This is what they found out about him.
Right. Trump has been very critical of Powell over his refusal to lower the interest rate.
If it's true,
and then he had to throw in tariffs the other day. He says, "Well, I would have lowered the rates if only this guy didn't come in with all these tariffs." Did you hear him say that the other day?
No.
He totally said that.
Trump's not going to get what he wants because they can't fire him.
Well, Powell's not going to get what he wants either, which is less heat from the president. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the Federal Reserve has become politicized.
Jerome Powell cut rates numerous times ahead of the election when Joe Biden was in this Oval Office, but now he refuses to, and the economy is in a much better place. So there really isn't a good explanation for that, and the president is rightfully calling attention to it.
Oh, yeah. I don't hear anything from you on that one.
Trump,
what do you say to that?
The president's not going to get what he wants because what's his name, Powell, apparently believes what he said, and they can't do anything to him. So, and if they found out he had a special elevator, that has to have been known for years. I mean, that's not going to. What are they hoping to find? What are they hoping to achieve by revealing that he has his own elevator? If that's what they're revealing.
Wasted money. If it's a private elevator, why does anybody need a private elevator? Why?
Maybe I don't know. They don't want to mix with the public. I bet you $1 you can find another one in Washington. What do you think?
Let's see. Let me look this up. Jerome Powell elevator. Okay, hold on. Fed Chair Jerome Powell under mounting scrutiny after reports revealed the yada, yada, yada. Oh, yeah. Luxury upgrades. This comes at a time when Americans are struggling with high inflation. What is it claiming? Let's see. Oh, yes. He was criticized for spending on what he called rooftop terraces, custom elevators that open into VIP dining rooms, white marble finishes, and even a private art collection.
Well, I would draw the line on some of that. Why can't they just eat in the cafeteria?
It's a necessity, Davey. It's a necessity.
I think they should just eat in the cafeteria with everybody else. No, I'm being totally serious.
We have to have white marble. Absolutely. This place can't look like a pigsty. We need to have the best.
No.
When people walk into the Federal Reserve, we need to have that custom elevator for the VIP people, and it's got to go straight to the dining room.
Well, does he have his own chef?
That's not listed here, but I wouldn't put it past him.
What if you get marble that's not completely white, it's off-white, or it's a beige, or even a cream color? Does he send it back, or is that going to be good enough?
He insisted there were no VIP dining rooms, no marble, no special elevators, no water features, and no rooftop gardens.
Okay.
But he said this while frowning, so who knows? He said this while...
If he's lying,
it was
we'll
reported
find
that
out.
he said this while pouting.
That's not true. You're making that
Against
up.
the accusations. Oh, man. Let me move on here. Let me go back to THC here for a second. So we're not talking about the THC ban. This one is interesting because this is Iron Mike Tyson on Fox and Friends earlier today talking about moving the scheduling for marijuana away from heroin.
To Donald Trump, the athletes say, quote, after making sweeping promises to voters in 2020, former President Joe Biden failed to deliver on his pledge to address marijuana-related injustices.
So boxing legend Mike Tyson is taking things into his own hands. Mike Tyson, welcome.
Hey, Brian, what's up, brother?
What's going on? I have to ask you, what is the problem right now? Because it seems it's on its road to being legally nationwide. What are the hurdles you're dealing with right now?
Scheduling from 1 to 3, you have to believe cannabis is in the same category as heroin. How do you categorize it with heroin? Anybody that ever smoked cannabis know there's no comparison. And that's...
You don't have to inject a marijuana, Davey.
You can smoke heroin, they say.
Yeah, but do you have to inject a marijuana in order to get high? I know some people may think that.
I bet you somebody's tried it in America.
I don't know if it has the same effect.
That's ridiculous if they're putting them in the same category. This is going back to the 50s and 60s.
So we're working on making a Schedule 3 and open up safe banking because there's over 500,000 people that can't get loans because they're in the cannabis business alone. And that's just so ridiculous. It's such a great income of insurance for the country. And for the country. And I just can't see it. It's just ridiculous.
I know in your letter you highlighted 3 main points to the proposed reform. Can you go through those points for our audience?
Absolutely. As I was speaking and saying earlier, cannabis has been labeled a label 1 narcotic, and that's in the same category as crack and heroin. And we all know, whoever experienced with cannabis before, no, that's not true, and it's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So, Mike, that's Iron Mike Tyson on, excuse me.
I would never
take me all choked up here on.
You think he was a weed smoker?
On Fox and Friends earlier today.
I wouldn't have taken him for a weed smoker.
Mike Tyson, he has his own weed business.
Well, I don't know that. I don't follow that. Makes sense.
Do I have time, Joe, for it? Yeah, okay. I'm going to drag this segment out just a little bit here. So this is The Deuce is Loose, Peter Doocy on Fox and Friends earlier today, talking about the latest efforts on the mega bill, but mainly this negotiation from Canada, because they were playing chicken for a little bit and Canada blinked on this.
The Canadians blinked in the trade war with the U.S. After President Trump announced this weekend that he was going to suspend all trade talks with our neighbors to the north, they decided to turn off a new tax one day before it was set to come due. It is the digital services tax. It took effect in June of last year, and it requires some businesses to pay a 3% tax on revenue that they earn from engaging with Canadian users online. So that could affect companies like Amazon and Meta and Google and Apple. And as tariff talks continue with other countries and Canada, the president's team is most concerned with protecting the following sectors: steel, aluminum, auto, copper, lumber, semiconductors and jet engines, and pharmaceuticals. And all those tariff deals are set to be settled by a long-standing July 9th deadline.
We made a deal pretty much with India. We made a deal with China. We made a deal with UK, great people. We made deals. But I'd rather just send them a letter, a very fair letter, saying, congratulations, we're going to allow you to trade in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or 20% or 40 or 50%. I would rather do that.
You hear that? You're lucky to even be trading here at all. With those tariffs added, you're lucky we're even willing to trade with you.
I think Mr. Trump would be better served by getting some sort of combination of Mexico, Canada, and the U.S. We'd be a dominating force, dominate the world.
You're listening to 710 KURV. This is your 956 drive home, and we still have lots more news and information headed your way coming up after this.
This is Michael Berry of the Michael Berry Show, inviting you to stay tuned and join me later this evening, starting at 6, right after the 956 Drive Home with Zach and Davis on News Talk 710 KURV and on the Radio Para Mi app.
Your Houston Astros play here.
Left field. Good one. It's out of here.
Catch the action all season long on News Talk 710 KURV.
Deep to right field, and you can kiss it goodbye.